Welcome to the Underground.
Turn me up, bitch!
My Little Underground with Peter A.
It's My Little Underground. I'm Peter A. Today I'm so glad to welcome Kassie Carlson of Guerilla Toss to the show to talk about their debut on Sub Pop, Famously Alive, and I get Cassie's thoughts on why the band signed to such a big label, and I get her thoughts on dealing with stress, imposter syndrome. We bonded over running too. We both think it's a very exhilarating experience to relieve a lot of stress, and we talked about some of the songs we listen to while we're running. And Kassie has a radio show, Pare Radio, on Radio Catskill, and she gives me an elevator pitch for the show, and I'm a big radio nut, so I can't wait to listen to the show. But right now, you're going to get to listen to Kassie Carlson of Guerilla Toss right here on My Little Underground. Do you remember, you probably remember this, the Out on the Streets Festival?
Where was that?
At the Honor House in Ridgewood.
Oh yeah, of course, I remember that.
Yeah, because that was the last time I saw a Guerilla Toss live, and it was my first time seeing y'all
and
live.
Potty Mouth played, and
Yes. Yep.
So Glows.
Yep, and Beverly.
Oh yeah, Beverly. Oh, what an epic show that was.
It was insane. I remember like watching you guys perform, like, oh wow, like this is a lot of, I wasn't expecting
energy
like this much, you know what I mean? It was so insane. Yeah, I was expecting like Potty Mouth to be crazy because I've seen them before, but like you guys were like, oh, this is like a lightning bolt is struck down. What do you remember from that festival? Like, how do you feel about like playing these kind of things, like outdoor festivals, or if you played any more besides this one?
We've played a lot of them, and we're gonna play more. I mean, we've played a lot of festivals. That one was like especially fun because it was only like a 5-minute bike ride from my house. So I was like, yeah, I like scooted down there, and I like got food at my favorite place, and I don't know, there's just a good crew there and like a legendary bill, and I had a lot of fun.
Yeah,
there's some cool pictures from that event too.
Yeah, I think I still have some in one of my old phones. Do you remember that there was this woman walking around? She was all silver, and she was just walking around and stopping and then walking around. She didn't say anything. It was some sort of like moving art piece.
Performance thing.
I don't know what it was, but it was so strange. The food was good there though. I will say that it was.
Yeah. What like was that place? Like, is it like a historical building? Maybe
it was. It
was like the oldest like house in Ridgewood or something like that.
Something like that. But you know what songs I've been thinking about the last 2 years from you two is Human Girl and Own Zone, the sub pops. Oh my goodness.
Those are fun.
Yeah, exactly. Like as soon as I heard it, I was on my parents' couch listening to them because I had no idea. I was like, oh, what's Guerilla Toss up to? And as soon as I put those songs on, I like sat up like the Undertaker. I was like, what's happening? What is this? And I immediately put it on my running playlist to run to, and it's a great set of songs.
Like you run, that's awesome. I just started running, and it's like I didn't think I could do it, but like I can do it. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that's really sick, even if it's only for a short time. It feels really good.
Oh, it's absolutely amazing. Like I was the same way as you. Like I didn't think, because in high school I sucked at the mile run, and I'm like, why am I doing this? And
same, yeah.
There's this like release that you get. It just makes you feel good. You know what I mean? How long or far do you run for usually?
Usually like a mile, but it's slow, but it's not like, it's like, it's just kind of, you go at your own pace, and you like think it's like for me, it's like a meditation. It's like, exactly. Wow, like my legs are like, it's so crazy that like my legs are like powering my body.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
It's like, damn, and it's so crazy that like my breath is like, and my heart is like beating, and I'm just like chilling here in my head, Yeah,
exactly. It's so cool.
Feels good.
Do you prefer to run outdoors or indoors?
I haven't gone to outdoors yet because I'm a new runner. I do like hiking and stuff, but like I just kind of like, it also has gone hand in hand with me like starting to really like pop music.
Okay.
Which I didn't like. I just like never connected with it. But like listening to some like Mary J. Blige and like, I don't know, just like random shit that just like, I'm like, I wonder what what's new in pop music these days, you know?
Yeah.
And just like hearing that kind of like, you know, "You're Amazing" from Mary J. Blige is just like, you know, it's pretty sick.
Yeah.
I mean, she's always been great, like, you know, obviously, but yeah, I don't know, just like it's interesting to connect with pop music when I've like always been like very like against it.
Yeah. I mean, I grew up, the first pieces of music I've ever, I mean, most people are, but you know, Michael Jackson was my first entry to music.
Oh
He
yeah,
was like the king of pop, right?
of
So
course.
melody and all that kind of stuff is always like, I still look for music, stuff like that in music now. Like that's my, you know, my go-to. Like the first thing I notice is like the melody, unless it's some
Yeah.
like weird, you know, far on left stuff. But like generally speaking, I like a little bit of melody. But when you're running, you're listening to music, right? Like pop
Yeah.
music, or okay, yeah. What's on your running playlist? I'm curious.
Oh God. I mean, it's sometimes it's shuffle, but it's been pop music a lot. But I mean, I was thinking about what you said about Own Zone and how, like, I remember writing that song and like the melody of that song, it's like da 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 da.
Yeah.
And it's like a melody that's written and it like goes and it ends and it's a melodic phrase, you know what I mean?
Yes.
And that was the first time that I kind of felt like that I had written something that like went to that, you know, and wasn't just kind of like super abstract.
Yeah. So when you were making those sub pop tunes, were you like, what was your mood when you were making these songs? Because again, I felt like energized, like I wanted to run around the block like 10 times after hearing songs, for real, honestly.
Well, I mean, it was like, okay, so it was pretty much like Sub Pop. We saw Sub Pop on our last tour and one of our last tours in Seattle. And they were like, come by the office. And I was like, oh, okay, can I bring my dog? You know, I was like, I didn't know, like, I was so nervous. And like, I was like, yeah, they were like, totally. We have like lots of dogs in the office. There's like 10, 15 dogs in the office, just like running free. And I was like walking around and like I had like a really big winter coat on and I was like really nervous and I was like sweating and like I like didn't know what to say or like I was just like and they're super nice, like they're not scary at all, but I was just like, this is so crazy to like be here. And so we like walked around the office and they like showed us all this shit and like, you know, like gave me a bunch of records and just like showed us this like unreleased stuff and like all these photographs. And like the head guy is Tony Cool and he's just super down to earth. Like you would never expect that he's like the head of Sub Pop. He's just like a really chill guy. And like he took us out to lunch and then we were like, whoa, I was like, you know, like it was like going on a date and you're like, whoa, do they like, I think they like me. Like, I think this is like gonna be a thing. Like, you know, like it's feeling really good. You're like, all right. And then I didn't really hear anything, you know? And I was like asking my manager, I was like, yo, so like, have you heard anything from, you know, so-and-so? Like, what are they up to?
Wow.
And it was just kind of nothing. And like, I think they were just going through their own thing. And they were like, I don't think we're gonna work with you guys. And I was like, okay, super let down, but okay. And they were like, actually, why don't you guys do the Sub Pop Singles Club? And we were like, oh, okay, yeah, sure. And so we wrote those two, like Human Girl and Own Zone. And then we're like, shit, that's it, I guess. And then they were like, actually, write us a full length. And then the pandemic hit. And we were like, fuck, you know, like it was just so existential, like the pandemic and everything. Like, you know, my bandmates were like, when do you think this is gonna end? And like I'm the only one who really like avidly like listens to the news and like NPR and like I'm constantly reading and stuff like that. And I was like, it's not looking good, you know what I mean? It just felt like really existential and really heavy. And I wasn't really worried about the United States. I just felt like the whole world, like different countries and stuff, like weren't going to be able to get out of it as easily. And I just was like feeling for, you know, other countries and stuff like that. Like United States got hit, but like other countries like got hit harder, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, we had this whole year to like write the album and they were like, we still want it. And we were like, okay. you know, but it was like a super dark time with like Trump and everything. So, you know, yeah, it felt dark. I think a lot of musicians felt dark trying to write in that time period. And what came out of it was a super positive album, you know, just trying to
Yes.
keep myself going and trying to keep myself alive and kind of make happy music sort of with like dark undertones, you know. But the good thing was that we had a lot of time to work on it. You know,
But
it wasn't,
I felt like a
yeah,
lot of your music was to me it felt positive, right? Like what would
yeah,
the odd do? That's a very, to me it's a very bright album, you know.
yeah,
That's what attracted me to it, was the sun of it all, if that makes any sense.
yeah, yeah.
But the one thing with, you know, with the pandemic, right? To me, the music industry was like, you know, in the shitter, but music still happened, right?
Of course,
You know
yeah.
what I
Art
mean?
still happened. Music, people are still alive. You know, they're still like doing the
Exactly.
only thing they like could do. You know, yeah,
Yes. So like with Famously Alive, right? With Sub
yeah.
Pop, like during the pandemic, was that when you put ink to paper, or was it before, or when did
During
that?
the totally during the pandemic.
Okay,
Yeah, we were just like, hmm.
interesting how you signed to a
Yeah.
major
So
label when the world is ending. It's great.
yeah, yeah, and like no touring in sight. Like I was like, I mean, now we're going on tour, right? But I thought it was, I mean, what, it's been 2 years since we played a show. You know, we just played 3 shows in Catskill, in Hamden, Connecticut, and Greenfield, but we hadn't played a show before that for 2 years. It's so crazy.
Yeah.
That's so long, you know?
What made you want to sign with Sub Pop? Was it the lunch meeting or anything like that, or were you just always a fan of the
No.
label?
My manager asked me, like, I was just talking to him about this. I was like, he asked me if there was any, if there were any labels I wanted him to invite to the shows. And I was like, I don't know, Sub Pop. And I just like, I don't know. It's just like, I have no idea, you know? And that was the only people he asked, and they came. 14 of them came, you know? That was
Wow.
really cool.
What
Yeah.
records were you given? I'm curious.
They gave me a Wise Blood. They gave me an Orville Peck. They gave me a bunch of stuff. Yeah.
Did they give you a Shannon Lay?
No.
Oh, I love her. She's
Yeah.
signed to them. Yeah, she's amazing.
But they
You know
have
what's
so
funny?
much shit.
Yeah, they do. You're right.
Yeah.
I think, you know, Guerilla Toss kind of like fits with like Hardly Art. You
Yeah.
know, like it does. Like, cause there's I picture like y'all on a show together. You know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah.
to me, like
We know
of
Ian
course, yeah.
Sweet really well from Boston.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, yeah. I almost
And-
forgot she was out there too. Yeah.
And Lily Lala.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then now there's My Idea. You know My Idea?
Of course.
Oh, good stuff. They've been on this show too. Oh, they're the best. They're so good.
Yeah. I
They're
know
so
Lily
talented.
really well. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Palberta?
Palberta.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
So
Oh,
good.
man. You know what's funny? We
Yeah.
talked about your interest in pop music. Like the last Palberta album, when they were talking to me, they were talking about their love of pop music too, and how that album is, the last album they put out was way more melodic. Palberta 5000. It's so
Yeah.
much more melodic than their other shit. And that's
Mhm.
what, like, made me like, I've always knew about Palberta, but like I love the melody aspect of
Totally.
exactly.
Yeah. And My Idea. I mean, that shit is like,
Yep.
yeah, I have a radio show and I keep playing it because I'm like, this is so good. You
Yep.
know, I've known Lily for a long time. I love everybody in Alberta. I think they're super talented.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Yeah. In Nina.
Yeah. Yeah, they're all I love them all. Like when they came on the show, it was one of the most entertaining. We talked about shoes at the end. It was so
Oh, yeah.
so damn entertaining. You know, the one thing I noticed about Famously Alive, like songs like Cannibal Capital, of course, the title track, Famously Alive, Wild Fantasy, songs like that, they are so bright and glitter filled, and Guerilla Toss has been like that, but this feels a little bit different. Like for you, was there any kind of internal pressure to make more accessible music?
Maybe a little bit, you know, because like I want more people to hear it, but it's just like also like I don't really make music, you know, it's just like what comes out, you know. So Yeah.
There's no like strategy, like, okay, this is gonna be a song for the
this
for
will
the clubs.
sell. Yeah, this one will sell. I know it. Yeah.
Yeah, this is the radio record. Yeah.
This is the one people will like.
Yeah.
I always think I'm kind of too weird to be like a real pop star. I mean, I don't know.
Oh yeah, you guys are real freaky in musically speaking. Oh man,
that's okay.
It's great.
It doesn't matter.
Even this album is pretty, but it's like it's still kind of whacked out in the best way
weird.
possible. It definitely is, yeah. And you know, you were talking about this before about this album being very content and joyful and inspiring. Is that your current state of mind? And do you look at life and the music industry now that you're signed to like a big label like Sub Pop? Do you look at it with a glass half full or glass half empty mentality?
Glass half full. I mean, you know, this is life and I'm just living it, and things happen and I let it wash over me. Sometimes they're bad, sometimes they're good. You know, I've had kind of like a rocky past and I've been through like a lot of really intense shit, but you know, I'm just happy to be alive, you know, and I just want to make music and I just want to perform and continue being alive and seeing beautiful things, you know.
Yeah, famously alive is a great mantra to live by.
Like I was dealing with all the car stuff, and like my van is like there's like an 8-cylinder misfire or whatever, and like this keeps happening. And I couldn't get anyone to get it fixed today, and it was frustrating because I was like driving around all day and like going to these different auto shops that were like, yeah, we can totally help you. And like, I was like, I literally know exactly what's wrong. Like, I just need you to replace this coil. And they're like, totally, come on by. And like, I went to multiple auto shops and I got there and they're like, yeah, can you come back tomorrow? And I was like, you know, why didn't you tell me that before? Absolutely. But also on the drive, I drove by some really beautiful rivers and like, I saw like daffodils like coming out of the ground, and like, it wasn't just like I'm driving and it's like annoying that the car is broken. It was also like I'm driving and it's like feels like the first spring day, and like I don't know.
Yeah, there was birds outside my window today chirping.
Yeah, it's not that bad. You know what I mean?
No. And I hear the birds like melodic mating calls. It's just wonderful. Hey, buddy. Look at that. He's really liking our conversation. That's it. He's just talking. He's like, hey, you guys talk. I'm just listening. Oh, the good boy. You know what? If you said can my dog come on the interview, I would have said hell yeah. You know what I mean? I wouldn't have cared. I wouldn't have cared at all. You know, I like animals too, so it's cool.
Yeah.
So when you're
he has a cat brother, actually.
Yeah, a cat brother?
Yeah, he has a brother, a cat that lives in my house.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Like what's that dynamic like, having a cat and dog in your place?
Well, in the winter, they like sit outside in the yard together, like really close, like keeping warm together. Yeah. And sometimes if my cat is like catching a mouse, like my dog will try to catch it too. Like he'll try to help. Like he'll like paw it, like try to catch the mouse with his paw. Oh yeah,
I've seen that. When I first moved into my apartment, there was one cat that would just bat a mouse around. Like not do anything, just bat around. It was amazing. So like, how do you, when you get stressed out now these days and everything you've been through in the past, how do you unwind? You talked about running too. Like, how else do you kind of de-stress? Give me some non-musical things that you do to kind of calm down.
I stretch because I hold a lot of like stress in my body, and particularly like my shoulders and my back. So I try to like stretch a lot. Also sleeping. When I need to sleep, I just fucking sleep. Yep. I'm like a baby. Like if I don't get enough sleep, I get cranky.
Oh yeah, that's me with sleep and food. If I don't eat, I gotta eat
too.
Oh my God, I have to eat, and I have to have my coffee. I'm not like a caffeine addict, but I just love coffee. Coffee
in the morning,
yeah, of course, absolutely. And tea. I'm drinking tea right now. Love me some tea.
Yeah.
Like I don't drink alcohol, so those are my drinks of choice.
Tea, a good tea. Oh yeah, like a good blend.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Tea blend is really good. Yeah.
And then I talk a lot, so it just works perfectly for me. But yeah, there's one when I'm listening to your music, and especially this album, you know, there's a, you know, a lot of like the electronicness of your music, for lack of a better term, kind of reminds me of like video games. And I discovered a lot of music through video games. So do you ever
Donkey Kong?
Not necessarily Donkey Kong, you know, but I can get into specifics, but it's too nerdy. But do you ever think about have you ever been approached, or do you ever think about getting your music on a soundtrack to a video game at all?
Totally down. Where are they? Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Because I'm driving around, I'm playing video games. I'm like, oh, wow. Oh, they have Jay Retard on here. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's one of those things. Like, I discovered a lot. I discovered like Quasimodo.
Tony Hawk's Pro Skater.
Yes, that's what I was thinking about. Like Tony Hawk's Underground specifically. That soundtrack put me on to so many things. Cannibal Ox and all this stuff. It's just, so I'm thinking like, man, like imagine if there was a Guerilla Toss song in one of these video games and one kid becomes a Guerilla Toss fan from the video game.
Yeah, that would be so cool.
That's it. I picture that for you. I see that. Let's manifest that.
Yeah.
Especially like Happy Me to me is like video game ready to go. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Do you play video games at all besides Donkey Kong and Tony Hawk?
I was really into Pokemon Game Boy as a kid.
Yeah, I played those games. They were good. They were fine, you know. After a while, they kind of get a little boring, but they're kind of interesting for what it's worth. You took vocal lessons for this album. What are some aspects of your singing that you thought you needed to work on, or what aspects of your singing that you've improved upon from taking vocal lessons?
Definitely my breath. You know, one of the things that I've always had an issue with is like controlling my breath, and these songs is like incredible breath control. I mean, having the heart problem kind of affected my breath in a little way. And so like learning to like manage that was like really important to me. And also like knowing like how to breathe. Like I knew in a way how to breathe. Like I knew I had to breathe like from down here and, you know, my diaphragm instead of like up here. But I didn't know, you know, the little details about it and how, you know, you don't actually have to take a breath. Just like basically moving your stomach is an inhale. And that's really helpful when you're on stage and you're hot and you're like performing, because you're already like have that kind of heightened thing. It's also helpful when you're trying to stay in key, like in tune, because if you don't have enough breath, you're going to be flat. And if you have too much breath, you're going to be sharp. So it's like a really delicate balance. Not only the breath, but also like managing my anxiety and like, you know, like as much as you practice, you can practice for like 100 hours a day. But when you get on the stage, you're super nervous and you can't manage that, it can like affect your performance in a big way, you know? Yeah. So that was another thing I worked on. And then a third thing I worked on was my imposter syndrome. You know, I've been performing live since I was 5 years old. My family was like in church, you know, whatever. And, you know, we sang together in church and I performed with my little violin, like in church and in like school concerts and stuff like that. And like, I've performed so many times, studied music. I've been in a rock band for like a long time now, but still I was like, I'm not a real musician, you know, I'm not really a musician. I'm just doing this, you know? So like working with someone who kind of like recognized that and was like, no, like, I don't know. I think like as a woman, you know, it's just kind of like, it's just like ingrained in you that like, you're not as good as the other people, you know? And this teacher like helped me like come to realize that you know, I do have a lot of experience and I can be called a musician, you know, like I'm always learning, and like being in the state where you're always learning, that's actually like a good thing, you know. It's the people who are like, I don't need to learn anything else. Like that's actually a bad place to be.
You don't want to have know-it-all syndrome.
Yeah.
You don't want to have that. That's not good. That's not good at all.
But there is a middle ground, you know.
Yes, there is. Yes. It's good. You know, I experience imposter syndrome sometime as
Totally,
well.
right?
It's natural, but then I
Yeah.
also have confidence in myself. Like I know I'm doing something good. You know what I mean? I'm doing something. And I definitely, when I listen to Guerilla Toss, it's like, this is musicianship. You know, I don't understand. Like if you don't think this is musicianship, you cannot like the music, but I can't sit here and say that you're not a musician. Like that's nonsense. It's not sensible.
Yeah.
Come on now.
It's
Come on,
weird,
let's be real.
right? It's weird. Yeah.
We have something in common, and that's radio, because I've done radio, both commercial and non-commercial. And you have a show, Pare Radio for Catskills Radio. Tell me about this show. How long have you been doing it, and what made you want to do it?
I started doing it in the beginning of the pandemic. My friend had done it for a while, a couple friends actually. And I was just like, I loved hearing them on the radio. And I wasn't performing, and like, you know, my friend was like, dude, you should do this. And I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to do it, you know? And then I was like, wait, what have I done? No, but I really like it. I realized like, I like using my voice. I like, you know, in high school, I was always headphone girl. Like I always had the headphones on. I was always the one who had the new music. You know, that's what like people like came to me for. And I'm just going to continue. I'm just going to run with it. You know, I'm just going to like, you know, I downloaded so much music and I'm going to continue to do so. No, no, I'm just like trying to find as much new music as possible and learn about it selfishly. I mean, it was like a self-imposed research project for this album, really.
Wow, that's a great elevator pitch for this, for the show. When does it air? What days?
It's Fridays at 8 p.m. Yeah, on WJFF Radio Catskill.
Okay, I got it.
And they have an app, so you can listen to past shows and stuff like that.
Oh, sweet. Your shows archived there too?
Yeah. Oh, I think last week they did a 2-hour set with the other guy, because I did the 2-hour set the week before, because we're in like our fun drive area, but this week there'll be a new one. Is it it's a 7-inch show? It's just like rare-ish music, you know, like stuff that has kind of like not as many listeners, or, you know, some sort of like YouTube K-hole where I'm like looking at rare 7 inches, and it's mostly female artists. The fruit of all things sweet. Ah, okay. That's cool. Give me some examples. Give me like 3 obscure acts that you play on the show. I guess 2 weeks ago, I was doing a lot of like Japanese psychedelic, kind of like yellow magic orchestra, and I don't know, lots of stuff. Wow, that's really cool. Nippon Girls, yeah. I love that. I love that. I love music. I love new music discovery. That's all I'm about. Like that's good. It's so beautiful. Yeah, and I don't know. I can send you a playlist later, but yeah, please do. Yeah, it's just fun, you know. And sometimes I'm like, oh shit, like I gotta do the radio show. I don't have time. But then I start doing it. I'm like, oh, I feel good. I feel better. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And doing radio can open the door to imposter syndrome too. Because I remember when I was on the air, I'm thinking to myself, I'm not a real personality. I'm not Howard Stern. I'm not Charlemagne the God. I'm not, you know what I mean? I'm not Elvis Duran. I'm not, but you know, that's them and I'm me. So that's, that's so I mean, cool. There's some people on the station that I'm like, man, they do a really good job. There's like this guy who does like jazz, and he's Kusar Grace of the Music Emporium. And I love the way he forms words. I've like always been obsessed with this with people, like the way that he speaks. Then there's another guy who does the Underground Martini Bunker, and it's kind of like James Bondy, like kind of like, I don't know, it's just weird music, but the skits he does between are just like so good, and he like speaks in rhythm to the music, and that's a lot of like what Guerilla Toss does. You know, I'm like speaking to the music, like some sort of like Laurie Anderson, like Talking Heads type of like, and like the music is going, but I'm talking, and there's not really like a set rhythm over the music, but there is, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It fits in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Record stores in the Catskills. Are there any out there?
Yeah, my good friend Brad Mann and Miriam Rabinski, they own a toy store / record store in my town, Livingston Manor, called Jitterbug.
It's great.
Yeah, they have an awesome Instagram. Their store is so great. They have like a lot of board games and like art supplies and like a killer record collection.
Yeah. You know, Deep Cuts in Ridgewood?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I was there. I go there a lot. I live very close to it. So I found your the latest Guerilla Toss album on cassette, and I picked it up. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna talk to Cassie on Monday. So I'm glad I picked it up.
Awesome.
So yeah, and I have the sticker too, the Guerilla Toss, the sticker that comes with it. It's really cool. I gotta figure out where to put it. Should I put it on my record player or what? But it's a beautiful sticker.
Oh,
yeah.
Are you gonna come to the Ridgewood show?
When you're at TVI, right?
Yeah.
When?
The 29th and 30th of April.
Yeah. All right. I'm gonna try to go to that. Yeah.
Okay,
absolutely.
cool.
Yeah, because I was confused because I know you guys were in town, and then Empath is also at TVI, so I had to figure out like when is that happening. But yeah, why
they're
not?
Great. They're so good.
Oh yeah, Empath is ridiculous. Oh my god, unbelievable. I picture y'all playing a show together too.
Yeah, we have.
Manifest
We played in Ithaca, New York.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You gotta bring that energy back down to the five boroughs. Bring that Empath and Guerilla Toss. Oh man, that's a lot of noise, bro. That's a lot of chaos. Yeah. I love it. All right, Cassie, plug away. Tell people where to buy Guerilla Toss and what have you.
Oh hell yeah. Yeah, you can find us on all major streaming platforms, Spotify, Apple Music, Pandora, blah, 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 blah. Or you can buy a physical copy at your local record store or at one of our shows coming up. We are going on tour, and we'll be on tour until the end of the month. And we want to see you. Probably the rest of the year we'll be on tour, pending.
Okay. Yeah.
You
know. If anybody has not seen Guerilla Toss live, do that shit. And bring your earplugs too. Yeah. I'm telling you. But Cassie, it's been amazing. I'm glad we finally got to talk. Love the new album.
Thank you.
Yeah, I hope to see you at a show, and I can't wait to listen to your radio show.
Hell yeah. Okay. Talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks, Cassie. Bye-bye. Bye.